Darwin Núñez tweaked it slightly as well. But all the talk's been this week about, from various patch journalists like yourself, around the futures of Núñez and Diaz. It's fair to say, in simple terms, there is now a huge question mark about these two, probably one more than the other.
Yeah, I think Darwin Núñez 100% will leave Liverpool this summer. I don't think it's in question, and I've been saying this for a long time now. I think that's pretty much nailed on. I'm pretty sure he'll go to Saudi as well, because that interest was strong in January. The player was keen, and Liverpool were keen, and will make a decent amount of money on it as well. So all the ingredients are there for him to leave this summer. So that is 100% is expected. Luis Diaz, a bit more of a difficult one, I'd say. 2 years of contract left this summer. Liverpool won't want to completely overhaul things. They'll have other areas they want to look at. So as soon as Núñez leaves, you need to get a striker, don't you? And so that's going to be an area to look at. Left back 100% will get looked at. And again, in midfield, I think it's probably going to be one in, one out there as well, to add someone who the manager actually trusts. So you're already looking at a lot of business. So if you suddenly have Diaz to replace as well, it starts to really build up. So I'm not 100% sure on that one. But of course, if anyone comes in and gives Liverpool a decision to make, then they will make it. And then, 2 years out from his deal, someone puts a decent amount of money in front of you, then Liverpool, I'm sure, will have a think about what to kind of do off the back of that. But I think he's less nailed on to leave than Núñez, but very much someone whose future's up in the air.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think it would be more of astonishment to anyone if Darwin Núñez is here for the start of next season. And yeah, Luis Diaz, there is that big question mark. And the rumours continue to abound about possible incoming. So I know Paul Gorst wrote about it, hasn't he? And it's an interesting phrase. Isak is light in the corridors. I just start using that going forward for future reference. But there is interest. There's been various stories. I know you talked about Isak, and not to sort of poo-poo the rumour completely, but I know you just don't particularly see it with everything that would have to happen to make that transfer, do you?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, it's not just about Liverpool and what Liverpool do and whether they'll stump the money up and all that. I just really don't see Newcastle selling him this summer. I think they're in a decent position to keep hold. 3 years of his contract left. They could ask for absolutely insane money, rightly so. And I think regardless of whether they get in the Champions League or not, they'll be absolutely desperate to keep hold of him anyway, to try and just build themselves back up and get back into the Champions League. So I don't even see him moving this summer. And the fact that he's in that position, I don't think there's an amount of money that Liverpool could realistically put on the table to change their mind. So I just think, as much as Liverpool might like him, and I'm sure they do absolutely like him as a player, he's phenomenal. I just, not in a million years, can see this happening. Certainly not to Liverpool anyway. I really don't see him leaving Newcastle at all. So I wouldn't, if anyone out there is getting the hopes up about that one, just probably best to extinguish them now before you go into the summer and feel disappointed.
Yeah, maybe wisely, and then see what goes from there. And Russell Stubley saying that he wants Jonathan David on a free, and Cunha for me would be perfect. We kind of linked him a little bit last week, and there has been a few stories. I suppose putting it a different way to you, would you be surprised if Liverpool weren't seriously thinking about making a move for Cunha on the basis that they know what he brings, they know the price point as well specifically? Do you think he is under consideration?
It's what I kind of am struggling to ascertain at the moment, and this is not something you can kind of really get out of anyone close to Liverpool at the moment either, is whether the setup at the moment and the way Liverpool are playing is based on this is exactly how the manager wants to play, this is his game model and how he sees it, or whether he's just doing the best he can with what he has available. So if this is exactly how he wants it to work going forward, and say Liverpool do sign Salah to a new contract, so he is going to be the main goal threat going forward, then for me, Cunha is absolutely perfect. He's kind of so much kind of Firmino-like qualities to him, and someone who drops deep and feeds the wing and knits play in the way that Liverpool have definitely needed this season. He would be a perfect fit. He'd already played for the Red Bull clubs, by the way. He's 25 years old. He's got a £62 million release clause. It's just like all the boxes that Liverpool like having ticked are just all there. Premier League experience already. I think he scored kind of like 25 non-penalty goals in 50-odd appearances in the Premier League for a struggling Wolves. That is incredible. To do that without penalties is really, really impressive. So I've just got an inkling he will be on the radar, yes. Not anything that I've heard or have had a nudge on, or, this is just purely my personal opinion, but he just ticks so many boxes. And if Liverpool do want to go down that path of having that kind of facilitator, as Arne Slot called it, going forward, then you cannot get much better than him. So just for me, he stands out as someone they might be interested in, but I haven't had any kind of instruction on that, whether that's kind of the case. But he really interests me, yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, on the chat panel, it's him and João Pedro seem to be the favourites for the forward line links there. And almost jump into the other end of the pitch, I get a feeling this was an agent leak more than anything to start things, but I'm sure you saw it came out that Dean Huijsen now has a £50 million release clause that becomes active in his contract this summer. Plenty of links to other clubs, but Liverpool mentioned a lot by various journalists. Heard or think there's anything in this one at all?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely no question whatsoever that Liverpool like him and keeping an eye on him. And obviously, Richard Hughes knows all about him. He'll be well aware of how good he is and what his release clause looks like. So no question about that. I guess the only question mark I would have is that I do expect Liverpool to sign a centre-half this summer, because I expect that Joe Gomez will leave. The only thing that you would say about this, I'm sure they would be in the mix for Huijsen, absolutely. I would expect that. But the only question mark is whether they can push it over the line on the basis that maybe other clubs will come in and say, we can offer you consistent first team football. I don't think Liverpool can offer that at the moment. It's all about, you look how many minutes Canate and Van Dijk have eaten up this season. Yeah. Huijsen might be looking and thinking, well, I could go to Chelsea and I start every week, or I could go, it's not an attractive project at the moment, or maybe Arsenal are in for him, or whoever, someone who could actually offer him regular football, and that might turn his head. But if not, and he's willing to come and kind of be behind Van Dijk and learn for a couple of seasons and still get minutes here and there, if he's willing to do that, then he would absolutely be a perfect signing. But it's just, that's the big question for me around Huijsen is, he might even wish to stay at Bournemouth for another couple of seasons and keep developing there as well. He's still very young. So that for me is the interesting one, really. It'll be down to the player and his decision. But I'm sure if Liverpool felt they had a chance, they'd be all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one well, you think we'd love to get him on board because he looks a real talent. But if you were his agent and he wants to keep playing football, you might honestly just advise him slightly differently. So we'll see what the summer brings for that one.